Who knew a local assistant principal could be responsible for 3 people missing from over a decade ago? This guy was shot by police when he was trying to stop his truck from getting repoed because he was actually current on his payments. And this doctor tried to get professional help to off his girlfriend. Let's find out about the people who are committing the saddest and most shocking crime, starting with number 5, hidden secrets. Keante Harris, a 45-year-old assistant principal from Alabama, was extradited to Georgia and is facing severe charges in a shocking case that dates back over a decade. Harris, along with 3 other men, was taken into custody as part of an investigation into the tragic passing of 3 people in Union City, Georgia. His arrest brings a new chapter to a case that's haunted families and law enforcement for years. In 2013, the bodies of Quinones King, Rodney Cottrell, and Cheryl Colquitt Thompson were discovered in a Dodge Charger abandoned on an exit ramp off I-85. Investigators later revealed that the 3 victims had been drawn to a house in Jonesboro where they were reportedly held against their will. Then they were transported and left in the vehicle miles away. For more than a decade, leads ran cold, and families of the victims were left dealing with a bunch of unanswered questions. Finally, after almost 10 years, Clayton County authorities have identified Harris and 3 other men, Kenneth Thompson, Kevin Harris, and Darrell Harris, as suspects in this heinous crime. Though it remains unclear if the 3 Harrises are related, each faces multiple charges. Following his arrest, Harris was placed on paid administrative leave by Jefferson County Schools in Alabama, where he worked at McAdory Middle School. While school officials emphasize that the charges appear unrelated to his work, the news has sent shockwaves through his professional community. The families of the victims who have grieved for their loved ones for nearly 10 years without any sort of closure are now seeing hope for justice. Rosetta Colquitt, grandmother to one of the victims, expressed gratitude toward the Clayton County investigators for their commitment over the years. She intends to attend the upcoming court proceedings, holding on to the hope that justice will finally be served. As of the release of this video, the case remains ongoing, and we'll continue to follow it as new developments unfold. Number 4, wrongful repossession. Steve Perkins, a 39-year-old from Decatur, Alabama, became the center of a heated legal case after an incident involving police and a tow truck driver outside his home. It all began when a repossession agent arrived to collect his pickup truck, allegedly due to overdue payments, though Perkins' family later claimed his payments were up to date. As the situation unfolded, tensions quickly escalated, and what was initially a repossession soon became something far more tragic. According to the police account, Perkins confronted the tow truck driver with a firearm, leading officers on the scene to respond. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera captured a harrowing sequence of events, showing Officer Mac Bailey Marquette discharging multiple rounds, and Perkins ultimately lying on the ground. As the video circulated, it sparked public outcry, especially as it showed the tow truck callously hauling away Perkins' vehicle while he lay incapacitated in his own yard. Perkins' family and local activists were quick to question the actions of the police. Neighbors who witnessed the incident shared that they heard officers shouting commands, but noticed a delay in providing any apparent first aid. One neighbor, Susan Capps, recalled standing outside and observing the aftermath. She remembered hearing Perkins quietly calling for help, yet in her account, the emergency medical response seemed delayed. She noted that the officers initially checked Perkins' condition, but took time to request an ambulance. In response to these allegations, Decatur police stated that the officers administered aid before the arrival of medical personnel. As of the release of this video, Marquette has been indicted, with his trial scheduled for early 2025. An internal investigation also led to the termination of 3 officers who were involved and the suspension of a 4th. All have appealed these decisions. Body cam footage has also since been released and has been interpreted in various ways. Some community members and Perkins' family believe the footage supports their claims of excessive force and misconduct by the officers, feeling that Perkins was ambushed by police in a confrontation they think could have been avoided. Conversely, law enforcement officials have maintained that the officers' actions were justified, insisting that Perkins brandished a firearm, prompting the response. Whatever your opinions on the case, it's hard to overlook the tragedy of a life lost over a truck repossession. If you're ever in a situation where you're considering confronting someone while armed, remember, that having a firearm can be seen as signaling intent, which will escalate the risk to yourself. In the end, when it comes to your life, possessions just aren't worth the potential cost. It's better to be upset than to not be here at all. Number 3. TikTok tragedy. Caitlin Lee, a 25-year-old mother of 3 from New Albany, Indiana, was recording a TikTok video with a friend when her ex-boyfriend and father to her youngest, Joshua Thompson, appeared unexpectedly outside her kitchen window. The two friends were laughing, dancing, and enjoying the moment when they noticed Thompson outside holding a firearm. In an instant, the atmosphere shifted from playful to dangerous. Caitlin reportedly asked, "What are you doing here?" just seconds before an incident that would forever change her family's life. Moments before, the atmosphere had been lighthearted, but everything shifted when she spotted Thompson, who had been waiting outside her apartment, peering through her window. Despite a no-contact order, which of course barred him from contacting or approaching her and prohibited him from having custody or visitation rights with their son, Thompson had shown up, armed. With force, he used his firearm to tap on the glass, shattering it, and Caitlin demanded to know what he was doing there. But instead of answering her, Thompson discharged his firearm through the broken window, ending Caitlin's life. The tragic encounter left Caitlin's family and friends grieving and scrambling for answers. Caitlin's friend later shared with investigators that Caitlin had expressed concerns over her safety, warning that if anything ever happened to her, Thompson would likely be involved. This ominous statement showed a pretty clear picture of the strained relationship she had with him. After the incident, Thompson left the scene, but later called 911 on himself, admitting to his actions. He claimed he had gone to her apartment to check if another man was there with her. His account included details of waiting outside for a considerable time before the interaction through the window. In the aftermath, Caitlin's family launched a GoFundMe to support her funeral arrangements and to provide for her children during this difficult period. Community members and friends rallied to help, expressing their disbelief and sorrow over the loss. The fund aimed to ensure her children would have a place to remember their mother, a small measure of solace amid the family's grief. As of the release of this video, Joshua Thompson has been charged and is waiting trial. Thompson is currently held without bond at the Floyd County Jail and will be heading to court in March of 2025. The saddest thing about this story is that because Thompson clearly has some issues and couldn't move on, these 3 children, who are 1, 3, and 5, lost their mother and are so young, they're probably not going to remember much of her. In that aspect, Thompson took a lot more than a life. He effectively erased someone from the memories of 3 people who mattered to her the most. Thompson is going to have a lot to answer for, not just at his trial, but when his kid is old enough to understand what he did. Number 2, the revenge plot. Alexander Keyes, a despicable 21-year-old from Canandaigua, New York, was convicted of serious charges, including unlawful imprisonment after holding a high school senior captive and violating her. And while awaiting sentencing, Keyes reportedly hatched a dark plan to eliminate the key figures who helped put him behind bars. This bizarre scheme even involved his girlfriend, Aldia Gator, who was allegedly willing to go to dangerous lengths to make it happen. Keyser's story doesn't end with his initial conviction. During his time in jail, he had apparently begun plotting a revenge-for-hire plan to target the judge, prosecutor, and a witness from his trial. Through jailhouse calls, Keyes and Gator allegedly coordinated to use contraband as a form of payment. But the guy they contacted was actually an undercover officer, leading to Gator's arrest. It makes you wonder how the police caught on, right? The sheer stupidity of this plan only emphasized what a low-watt bulb this guy actually was. Both Keyes and Gator somehow seemed to underestimate the surveillance around them, discussing specific locations and payment methods in their monitored jail phone calls, clearly unaware that authorities were listening to every word. Prosecutors said that they even recruited a minor to be involved in the plot, showing just how far this scheme spiraled. Their ill-conceived plan finally fell apart when Gator, acting on Keyes' behalf, met with the undercover officer, offering $1,750 worth of pharmaceuticals to seal the deal. Keyes' actions and his willingness to involve others in such a reckless conspiracy reveal a concerning lack of remorse and responsibility. As of the release of this video, both Keyes and Gator face additional charges and are being held without bail. It's surprising to think, even after being convicted of such heinous offenses, Keyes not only had a girlfriend, but one willing to go to these lengths for him. And the fact that they discussed this plot so openly from jail suggests a low level of intelligence that only confirms that they were probably going to end up in prison somehow, eventually, anyway. Number 1. The Alcoholic Doctor. Dr. James Wan, a doctor from Duluth, Georgia, not the film director, received a sentence of over 7 years in federal prison. His crime? A disturbing plan to hire a triggerman through the dark web, intending to end the life of his fiancée with whom he shared a young daughter. But how did this well-regarded doctor, known in his community and seen as a family man, wind up here? Wan's relationship with a woman only known as Tanya, his fiancée, seemed perfect on the surface. They shared a daughter, lived in an upscale neighborhood, and enjoyed a luxurious lifestyle, including a $100,000 engagement ring and extravagant vacations. However, behind the scenes, their relationship was far from idyllic. Wan struggled with misusing substances and had an explosive temper, along with a gambling habit that led them to spend vacations in places conveniently located near casinos. Over time, Tanya noticed how these trips always revolved around his vices, yet she clung to the hope that he'd eventually change for their family's sake. The cracks in their relationship grew more apparent when Wan's behavior became increasingly erratic. During a getaway to a casino in North Carolina, he flew into a rage after drinking heavily and ignored Tanya's pleas to leave the casino. That night, in a fit of anger, he lost control while driving up a mountain road, crashing their vehicle. Both emerged from the accident shaken, but unharmed. Still, Tanya couldn't shake the feeling that Wan's anger and gambling problems posed a danger to her and her daughter. In the years that followed, Wan's efforts to change were short-lived. He attended support groups for a time, but his old habits soon resurfaced. His alcohol use and gambling continued, leading to frequent arguments and outbursts. Wan's position as the household's primary breadwinner added another layer of control. Whenever Tanya mentioned leaving, Wan would remind her of her financial dependence, making her feel trapped in the relationship. Their conflicts even prompted visits from local authorities, but no action was ever taken against him, and Tanya felt ignored by those who could have helped. Then, things took an even darker turn. In early 2022, Wan, struggling with financial setbacks from risky investments, began secretly planning a sinister way to eliminate what he saw was an obstacle to his lifestyle: his own fiancée. Using his phone, he accessed the dark web and contacted a marketplace that connects clients with professionals. Wan even specified in his instructions that he wanted the incident to look like an accident. Over the course of weeks, he transferred over $25,000 worth of Bitcoin to finalize the arrangement. In one message, he requested that the crime be carried out before an upcoming court date involving a restraining order case between Tanya and one of Wan's co-workers. He apparently wanted to prevent her from exposing his workplace issues, particularly his drinking habits, to colleagues and potentially to the court. Tanya had been reaching out to Wan's co-workers, urging them to help him seek treatment and even threatening to report his behavior to the medical board and HR if he didn't get help. With the court date nearing, Wan feared that Tanya's testimony or continued actions would damage his professional reputation, jeopardize his job, and potentially lead to disciplinary actions that could impact his career. So, Wan proceeded to carry out his plan, but what he didn't anticipate was that someone was watching. An anonymous tipster who monitored the marketplace saw Wan's messages and alerted the FBI. At the time, Wan was recovering in a hospital after an unrelated accident at his daughter's school where he was attending an event. Apparently, he injured himself on an inflatable slide, resulting in broken ankles, possibly due to his drinking. So Tanya was by his side at the hospital, entirely unaware of the plot against her. FBI agents took immediate action to notify her, arranging a private meeting where they informed her of Wan's plan and provided evidence. Shocked and horrified, Tanya quickly relocated to a safe house provided by the FBI, seeking protection for herself and her child. As Wan lay in his hospital bed, the FBI then confronted him. Initially, he denied any involvement with the dark web, claiming he had been hacked. But when presented with overwhelming evidence, he admitted to the crime and even canceled the contract from his phone, hoping to mitigate the consequences. Despite his attempts to reduce the damage, Wan's plan had left lasting emotional scars on Tanya. The judge ultimately sentenced him to more than 7 years in prison, rejecting his ridiculous pleas for leniency. As Tanya moves forward with her life, she continues to take significant steps to ensure her and her daughter's safety, grappling with the betrayal she never saw coming from the father of her daughter and a man she once trusted and loved. Click to watch one of these next videos.